When I first started playing Missile Dancer, I assumed that it was a port of an old Japanese arcade game from like the early 2000s. After all, it has the look, the feel, and the music of something that would have competed for attention with some of Cave's biggest hits. But Missile Dancer is not some cult classic arcade hit that you're only hearing about now. It's a 2018 shoot-'em-up that originated on mobile devices and is only now making its way to the Switch. As somebody who loves shooting missiles but is a terrible dancer, I wanted to see if I could still get into this debut game from Terarin Games. Here's how that went. If there's a story to Missile Dancer, then I must have missed it. Because the only thing this game is about is, you guessed it, missiles. In a twist I certainly didn't see coming, this is a shoot-'em-up where the shooting is the least important part. In fact, the bullets barely do any damage at all and are really only good for taking out enemy fire. The gimmick in this game is all about targeting a group of bad guys at the exact same time and then unleashing a bunch of homing missiles. You do this by holding down the fire button, which is also the only button used in Missile Dancer. When you hold the button, a purple circle surrounds the ship and allows the player to target up to 10 enemies at once. You'll want to pick up power-ups that'll increase the amount of missiles that you can fire and expand the radius of the targeting. Two things that'll become crucial as you take on the increasingly difficult bosses. What's great about the targeting mechanics is that it's constantly pushing the player to be more daring, especially when it comes to earning high scores. There's a skill to the combo system that is more than just dodging bullets and shooting down enemies. Missile Dancer expects you to get up close and personal with the bad guys, something that manages to set the game apart from a lot of other shooters. In that sense, it actually kind of reminded me of Risk System, another throwback shoot-'em-up that rewards daredevil antics. I feel like we're only scratching the surface of what's possible going down this road, and I'd like to see more developers give players a reason to be daring. Now, in true arcade shoot-'em-up fashion, Missile Dancer won't take you very long to complete. The 8 bite-sized stages will run you about a half hour, maybe a little bit less, which is pretty standard for the genre. It's also quite a bit easier than the typical shooter. I nearly beat the entire game without losing a single life in my third time playing it through on the normal mode. Thankfully, the higher difficulties are there to give you a real challenge. Instead of speeding through 8 tiny stages, I kinda wish the developers had prioritized memorable level designs. The graphics look good, and I like the variety of enemies for the most part, but the backgrounds are all so bland and forgettable. Hey, you're over a city, an army base, and a computer world? I guess? The point is that the stages feel like they were lifted directly out of at least 20 other shooters. Of course, to be fair, there are a couple of times when Missile Dancer shows us something new. We have to shoot away block barriers in one stage and speed through narrow passageways in another. Two things that are exclusive to those respective levels. Given how fun and exciting the gameplay is, it's really a shame that the level designs are not at the same level. And while we're on the subject, I wish that Missile Dancer had better power-ups. Look, don't get me wrong, being able to expand the targeting radius comes in real clutch, but it also comes at the expense of other types of weapons. We never get new types of missiles or bullets or anything like that. There's no spread shot or laser or chain missiles or anything. The weapons we get at the start are the same ones that we're using straight up until the very end of the game. For as much as I love getting up close and targeting enemies, I found myself wishing that certain aspects of the gameplay were a bit deeper. Adding just a couple of extra weapons to cycle between would have made a big difference. Now, apart from the 8-stage campaign, Missile Dancer also comes with a second mode called Against the Clock. Here we get 3 minutes to rack up as many points as possible in a fast-paced score attack scenario. This mode's fun, though over too quickly. Yet again, the idea is there, but the execution feels a bit too limited. It would have been fun to see one of these score attack challenges for every stage, not just one that repeats the same batch of challengers. And without proper online leaderboards, there's really no incentive to come back to this mode more than a couple, maybe a few times. Thankfully, the same cannot be said about the arcade mode. While I'm not a big fan of some of the level designs, the Daredevil gameplay helps to take the sting out of the game's shortcomings. This is an exciting and surprisingly accessible shooter that is great for all experience levels. No matter if you're a seasoned veteran of the genre or just somebody who's been turned off by bullet hell shoot 'em ups. I think there's enough here to satisfy everybody. Missile Dancer may not be the biggest or deepest shooter on the market, but it definitely has a fun and unique gimmick. I like how the game forces the player to risk everything in order to kill enemies and rack up big combos. While the level designs are a little bland and there's not a whole lot of incentive to play the secondary mode, the inventiveness of the gameplay helps Missile Dancer stand apart in a crowded genre. This is a fun throwback shooter, but I'm not sure I can dance to it. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite vertical shoot 'em up? You know, I've always been more of a horizontal shooter kind of guy, but Ikaruga is pretty great. And also Musha and Poppin' Twinbee, and oh yeah, the 19XX series. Oh, and Radiant Silvergun, how can I forget that? There's so many! Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we're doubling down on reviews this January. A lot of reviews to get through, including Axe Cop, Wonder Blade, Terratopia, More Dark, Skull, the Hero Slayer, and something called the USB stick found in the grass that really has me intrigued. I can't wait to talk more about all of those. If all that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.